Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Let's Play Warframe. I'm your host of the most, as always, Francois878, and today we're going to be talking about Mirage Prime, the newest Prime to be added to the game via Prime Access. I apologize if this video is a little late. RNG was less than kind to me for this one. Unfortunately, you all know how that feels, though, I imagine. I'm going to get one comment, "Oh, I don't know what the hell that feels. I always get great RNG." Well, to that person, why don't you share? Why don't you share with everyone and spread that love around? Because let me tell you, I needed it. This is probably the roughest Prime I've farmed in the last probably 2 years. It was bad. The Mirage Prime, this new Prime, is exciting for a couple of reasons. First off, Mirage Prime is the first primed frame to be released based on a vanilla frame that was quest-related. A lot of people in the community thought that it either shouldn't happen or it couldn't happen based on the lore. Personally, since most of the new, if not all of the new frames that have been released since Mirage Prime are all pretty much quest-based, I'm okay with quest-based frames being primed. I would like to have all of the frames be primed at some point. I mean, they obviously won't be. The game's got to end eventually, but, you know, I like the frames well enough to see them all primed, regardless of whether or not they are quest-related or not. So, I'm cool with it. Speaking of the vanilla version, though, there were a couple of stat differences with Mirage Prime versus the vanilla. The Mirage Prime has slightly higher armor, 150 versus the vanilla 65. Slightly higher shields, base of 110 versus 80, and some extra polarities, which is pretty normal for a new Prime. Now, I feel like the Primes recently have been getting bigger and bigger buffs versus the vanilla version, and that's not really necessarily the way I want to see Warframe go. I feel like initially when Primes were first conceived, there was no stat differences between the vanilla version and the Prime version. The only difference was the polarities. And this was years and years ago. This is when, you know, Ember Prime, Rhino Prime territory. So, the fact that Mirage Prime has some buffs, but it's definitely not as much as a couple of Primes, you know, the last couple of waves, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. As far as builds go, I mean, you guys know generally how to build Mirage. It's Mirage Prime takes pretty much the exact same builds. 150 armor isn't enough for any sort of survivability build, so you don't really want to try and... I mean, if you want to try and build Mirage into a tank, you can, but that's not the way I would. Obviously, you want high efficiency, high duration, and high strength for a Hall of Mirrors or a Eclipse build. That's personally how I like to play Mirage, is running both of those powers at the same time and just destroying dudes. The build I showed earlier is 400% weapon damage on Eclipse in Bright Light and 95% damage reduction in Shadow for Eclipse, and 40% damage on your clone shots with Hall of Mirrors. However, I do have the Hall of Mirrors augment on, which gives me 5% more damage per kill up to 50%. So my clones will be doing 90% of my damage once that buff is running at 100% capacity, which is really nice. It's a little bit more of a selfish way to play Mirage, but personally I really enjoy all that crazy weapon damage. The other popular way, obviously, is Prism. If you want to run Prism for damage, you need high power strength, range, and duration. If you just want it to be more of a blind ability, you can just run range and maybe a little bit of duration. You don't want negative duration because that'll affect the channeling energy. So it's, you know, it's up to you guys. You know, she can be built a couple of different ways, and that's just more or less personally up to taste. So her overall design is really great. I love what they did generally with her look. She looks awesome. Again, same thing as Hydroid. They really knocked the design out of the park. Again, I really love the slightly more complex looks versus Oberon, which was a little plain in my opinion. But that's about it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more. I've been your host of the most, as always, Francois878, signing off.